So I'm Derick Raal from Johannesburg, South Africa, and I'm currently at the ESA meeting in Innsbruck in Austria. And I've just presented the results of the TAUSSIG study, which is a trial assessing the long-term use of PCSK9 inhibitors in subjects with genetic LDL disorders. I presented just the homozygote FH cohort of TAUSSIG, which is the largest study reported in patients with homozygous familial hypercholesterolemia. So in the long-term TAUSSIG study, we enrolled 106 patients with homozygous FH, and I presented the long-term data, which is over 48 weeks, so nearly 2 years of treatment with the PCSK9 inhibitor evolocumab in this patient group. Now, because of the large number of patients, we will be able to look at the genetic data and see how patients responded, those with defective mutations in the LDL receptor, those with negative mutations, and also homozygous patients with autosomal recessive hypercholesterolemia or gain-of-function mutations in PCSK9. In addition, we were able to look at the two cohorts because patients that were on apheresis were also allowed to be enrolled into the study. So of the total patients, 106 patients, about a third were on apheresis, 34 patients, and the remainder were not on apheresis. So what the study really showed is that the effect of evolocumab was maintained in the long term. There was about a 23% reduction in LDL cholesterol level, which means maintained right out to 48 weeks. Patients that were not on apheresis, we increased the dose from 420 milligrams monthly to 420 milligrams every 2 weeks, and that resulted in an additional 8%, or about 0.8 millimole per liter reduction in LDL cholesterol. Importantly, we also showed that the patients with gain-of-function mutations or ApoB mutations had robust reductions in LDL cholesterol of up to 50%, as would be expected in terms of the mechanism of action. We had 8 patients that were LDL receptor negative, and they did not respond to evolocumab. The other poster that I presented was looking at the cardiovascular events in this patient population. Now, unfortunately, we don't have data on pre-existing events in homozygous patients, but we know that they're an extremely high-risk group. So looking at the data from the South African cohort, previously the average age of death in homozygote patients before statins and ezetimibe was about 33 years. So you can look at a mortality rate of about 3% per year. Now, in this evolocumab long-term follow-up, we only had 4 cardiovascular events, no deaths. So the event rate per year was only 2%, which is remarkably reduced compared to the event rate we would have predicted from the pre-treatment with statins and ezetimibe. So it appears that this medication is also reducing cardiovascular events in this very, very high-risk population group.